I'm Linus Benjamin Bauer. I'm the founder and the managing director of Bauer Aviation Advisory, a consulting firm exclusively working for the aviation industry. Now it's my great honor to introduce Laila to you. Laila is the former executive director of the Civil Aviation Authority in the United Arab Emirates, and she is now the CEO of Alive Group. Welcome to the second kickoff session of BAA Talk.
Thank you, Linus.
Very nice to have you here. You have contributed to the development of the United Arab Emirates through your 27 years of experience in leadership, organizational transformation, and the innovation towards achieving the vision of the United Arab Emirates. So, Laila, tell us how you got to where you are now.
Well, it's a long journey, Linus. It's a long story. It's 27 years of experience in different government entities, Dubai government, and then the federal government. So I started as a software engineer. I graduated from the United Arab Emirates University in software engineering. And then I started working with the Dubai Electricity and Water Authority in the software engineering department, in the IT department. Worked there for 12 years, and I moved from within different positions in the IT department until there was like a rumor, or not a rumor, but there was like some news about establishing the Roads and Transport Authority. I moved from the Dubai Electricity and Water Authority by an order of moving me to the Roads and Transport Authority. I was very fortunate to be part of the small team that established the RTA, because it was a very interesting project. The Roads and Transport Authority was based on a new concept of government where you separate the regulatory from the operation, and you gather all the transport means under one umbrella. So that was quite a project, and I was fortunate again to be part of the founding team in RTA until we launched the metro, and then I took a break from working for 17, 18 years. I said I will, because I'm a single parent, I said I will spend a few months with my kids. During that time, I was headhunted for the head of strategy in the General Civil Aviation Authority, and that was my shift to aviation. So from land, transportation, and rail to aviation. And I worked there for 11 years, and now I'm the CEO of my own group of companies.
Yeah, that is a very inspiring journey you have behind you already. So may I ask you, why did you decide, when the headhunting happened, why did you decide to join the world of aviation? What was the motivation behind this?
I really wanted a break from everything, but aviation was the reason that I said, okay, I will break that period, and then I will go back to work. Aviation was a totally different world for me, because I've been used to, working in infrastructure and land transportation. I didn't travel a lot, so I wasn't like in contact with that world or that community a lot. But when I got headhunted and I was called for this position in GCAA, it was extremely challenging for me because I don't know the field, and the position was head of strategy. So I'm supposed to negotiate. I'm supposed to develop aviation strategies. I'm supposed to develop aviation policies for the country. And from someone who doesn't know aviation to immediately start this position, it was exciting. I would not say I was frightened. I was excited about it. It was challenging. And that actually what makes me, tick, the challenges and the excitement about something that, would challenge my skills, would challenge me to achieve.
So it means when we are talking about challenging joining aviation without having no knowledge or know-how about aviation beforehand. Did you face any other additional challenge when you entered the aviation world?
Yes, there are so many challenges in aviation. First of all, I'm a single parent, and I'm a mother for three, and I'm a woman. Okay, so going with that formula into the aviation with a big position, so it's a decision-making position with no background. So you don't have any background in aviation. So there are so many challenges. First, you have to break into what was a man's world back then. You know, nobody was in that position at my level. And then I was juggling between my social life and my professional life, and aviation requires you to travel all the time. And then for you to set policies, set aviation policies, and for you to gain respect and credibility, and people has to follow you as a leader, you have to gain their respect and you have to gain their trust. So how to gain that trust, how to gain that respect is very hard if you do not know what they are talking about. So the learning curve was extremely steep with me. In 1 year, I had to learn so many things because people live in aviation, like for pilots, they only know how to fly a plane. For engineers, they only know how to do that. But for me to know the whole aspects, every field in aviation, that was a big challenging part of my beginnings in aviation. But I thank God, with hard work and with our leadership's trust, I made it, and I finally gained the trust and credibility, and we developed very robust strategies for aviation. We had so many achievements during my working in the General Civil Aviation Authority. We became from a country who were ranking 52 in IQ safety levels to number 1 in security as well. We became the country number 1 globally. We became the best authority in improved and strategic planning on the national level of Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Awards. So we started getting a lot of awards, a lot of recognition, and then the aviation industry looked at us as the leader, as somebody who they respect and they listen. They adhere to our policies. They are working with us instead of just looking at us as a policing regulatory body. So we started gaining their respect and gaining their support, and they started working with us, developing so many systems with us. And that is something that, I'm very proud, to achieve.
Nina, you have my biggest respect for what you have achieved and everything. And when we are talking about women in aviation, we see in many parts of the world, there are still the majority of people in leadership position, male.
Yes.
It's a very heavy male-dominated industry. So I'm also on your side that we need more women in aviation in general to reshape the aviation of the future and bring all people from different backgrounds into the boat. So you have mentioned better women in aviation is one of your challenges as well, specifically in the Middle East as well.
Yes.
So when we are talking about your long and successful career in aviation, who was your biggest inspiration in your life to achieve something similar or to look up?
For me, I don't have one only. I have a lot of role models around me. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid is one. My mother was one, like the way she raised us, the way she made us who we are, And there are so many other role models around, around the world that I take lessons from different role models around the world and see nobody is perfect. So everyone has a position in a certain field or to a certain cause, and that inspires me. So there are a lot of names. I will not say one name or two names. We need to be individuals as well. I mean, we are inspired by so many people, but we need to know who we are. And I think that is what is missing from women in our society. I'm not talking about Arab society only. I think around the world, women, they try to seek women empowerment. Actually, their value is huge, and they need to have this value as their bargaining chip. It's not, we have the power, Every individual man or a woman has the power to achieve, and women has great power to achieve. I mean, we are used to multitasking. We are used to achieve much more at home, raising kids, doing a lot of things. We are multitaskers, and we are actually more strategists than so many other women, because we are long-term raising our kids, so we build a small government or a small country within a house, and we are much capable of building whole systems, either corporate or public or non-profit or any field. So really it's up to us the way we look at our value. I'll give you an example. During my work in GCAA, I would get young women and young men, and I would see the difference. I will try to, of course, mentor the women, mentor the girls. The men they don't require mentoring, because they came and they say, okay, how much you will give us for our value? The woman would come and say, oh, you have to teach me, I have to prove to you, I have to prove myself to you, So the kind of mentality, the woman is always seeking approval, and the male are not seeking that. They immediately are asking for, compensation for their value. Women, they don't know how to do that. They're always waiting for recognition. They don't immediately ask for recognition. And that is the biggest challenge with women, we are our own enemy. And, we have to change. And when we say women empowerment, we have to empower ourselves, and we have to empower our other women, and that is the thing that is missing so far.
Yeah, I think when we are talking about the empowerment of people, I see we are sharing a lot of similarities, because I'm the person with a disability, so we have somehow the same opinion, which is going in the similar direction, basically.
Yeah, but the people, they don't know that I'm half deaf and you are...
we are the team.
Yeah, we are a team, yes.
Exactly. In your opinion, what should the government get done in order to bring more movement in aviation?
Well, there are a lot of things that the government are trying to do, and there are good leaders out there. They're trying to increase or enhance gender equity in so many fields, including aviation. But I think there has to be some accountability. We are missing the accountability. So there's a lot of policies, a lot of recommendations, a lot of good training. 70% out of universities are women. So women are educated, are empowered already. They have the knowledge, and they have the skills, and they can do whatever they want to do. So that is the difficult part. You have a capable workforce. How to include that capable workforce into any other field? So the policy has to have accountability for leaders. It is not only recommendation. So when you say gender equity in boards, until now, we had a policy, one woman for each board. Until now, 90% of the boards had no women. There is a recommendation from the government, but there's no accountability. So what I always call for is accountability in order to make those leaders accountable for gender equity. It's not only recommendation or awareness, or it's like any other policy. There has to be some accountability. They have to be accountable for the percentage of gender equity. The government has a great program for performance. I think gender equity should be on top of those performance indicators, where any director general or any minister, any CEO, even private companies, they should have the same accountability in the country. Only then we will achieve better gender equity.
So now we are more discussing about aviation and COVID-19. When we are looking at the impact of COVID-19 on the aviation market in the United Arab Emirates, how would you characterize it? If you are looking back at the past 6 months, how has COVID-19 impacted the aviation in the United Arab Emirates?
United Arab Emirates is a hub, okay? So it really, relies on international aviation, on international movement. if you compare bigger countries to smaller countries where they are a hub, the hubs are affected tremendously with the COVID-19 because the most affected type of passenger are international passengers because of all these controls and different regulations from a country to country where we don't have one regulation for biosecurity between countries. So as we are a hub, we are really affected. Domestic flights were not affected because there's no security measures between city to city within a country. United Arab Emirates really got affected badly, as economy, because 45% of Dubai government economy is coming from aviation. So we were hit very badly, but we had a lot of strategies to cover that deep hit, and I think the cargo really compensated because we are. People are consuming here a lot in United Arab Emirates. So the cargo, the trading didn't stop on the passengers, but there's a lot of cargo movement, which really helped the airlines to survive in this period. Also, there are a lot of other initiatives that the government really supported the aviation industry. So our aviation industry survived, and it is picking up right now. But until we reach to a certain or a single and a standard biosecurity measure applied all over, not only aviation, UAE aviation will survive and pick up quickly, but all other airlines and airports and the global aviation industry will really be, healthier again and surviving again and growing again. If only the governments and the international organizations would reach to a conclusion or would reach to a one single regulation for the movement between point to point. That is when we will see, again, the growth of aviation.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. The operation of the hub exposed system has been compromised by COVID-19. It has been forcing airlines to shift the business model and the scope of connectivity to point to point to bring more people to the final destination, Dubai, in collaboration with all other stakeholders. Yes. And then you mentioned about the government and the biosecurity and all these things. Will the government and all the initiatives by all other stakeholders contribute to restoring the confidence of passengers to fly, even if they have to connect via Dubai for the second flight? Will it be enough to restore the confidence, or do they need to be doing more things on this?
There are so many things that should be done to restore the confidence. First of all, the confidence of the passengers, did not go down in aviation itself. So people still want to fly, and they don't think that by flying they will be affected by the COVID or they will be spreading COVID or etc. So they want to fly. So the appetite of passengers is there. The appetite did not decrease. What made the confidence go down is the unclarity of the regulation, on the borders. So for the airlines, they cannot do more. They are trying their best to provide a very smooth and a very comfortable journey for passengers. I don't think the airlines are lagging with their actions in this regard. I think, from my opinion, is governments and international organizations. They are the one who needs to do a lot of things. First, they need to automate the testing methods. They need to have policies in place. They need to, have one policy in place, not different policies in every country. I think the International Civil Organization, they have a huge responsibility on providing guidelines and providing a single border control measures for all countries. I think as well, the organizations like International Association of Airlines, which is IATA, they have to work together with the World Health Organization in order to achieve that kind of smooth security system, because every country will ask you for a different test. The test there, it is adapted right now, is not really supporting the aviation industry because it is a bit complex, to build a system, a smooth system around it, which is the PCR. And there are different aspects of that system. There are different applications, different forms, locator forms, etc. So going from Dubai to different destination, you will have, as a passenger, you will have to go and dig deep and research and see how you are going. And that really makes passengers intimidated to travel. So it is not the COVID as in the COVID, or they are scared to get the COVID. It is the journey itself. It's the process, the unclarity of the process and the complexity of the process that makes them scared of flying. It is not the airlines. I tell the airlines, you are doing your best in the situation.
Yeah, I think the main reason are the governments around the world coming up with a standard solution to bring aviation back on the map. I fully agree on your point as well, and I think from my point of view, we need to make a shortcut, or even the government need to make a shortcut in the learning process by looking back to the 9/11 crisis,
yes,
where the security standard was not standardized or harmonized in the first 12 months after the incident happened. But there could be something helpful to look up and implement from the health point of view, because 9/11 was a security crisis. COVID-19 is more a health crisis.
Definitely.
But the way they approach to solve the problem and implement the standard solution for all airports around the world could be very helpful. So now I'm coming to my question. We see a lot of countries, for example, Australia, New Zealand, they are following this kind of approach. We are waiting for the vaccine first, then we open the border. How do you see it, the approach, from your point of view, understandable, or would it make sense, or you don't see any?
Well, I think I would not comment on one country, because every country is taking measures because of the lack of global policy. So New Zealand, they have the right to protect their environment, their people, for closing all the borders. Australia had taken a great approach in testing, which I've been calling for since this COVID situation started, which is using the antibodies along with the antigen. And when you use combination of testing, you really ensure traceability. You ensure that these people are covered. People are in the front in aviation, pilots, cabin crew, people in the airports. They need to know that they are protected. So antibody testing for them, if people who has antibodies to be there in the front line, then they will be less, or more secure about doing their job. And, different testing that Australia has one of the, successful cases in managing COVID, and they use different testing. And I was calling for the different testing mechanism, and the way the testing is done, it has to go to a central database, a global database, where you find biometric biodata for every passenger globally. You can get it globally. So the you achieve a smooth passenger journey, because you don't have to get this data every time. You have a global database of biometrics. So although I'm calling for this, I understand that a lot of people talks about confidentiality of the biodata, and especially in Europe, they really are emphasized on the confidentiality of such information. But again, when it comes to health, it is very important to reach a balance between confidentiality and between health issues. So for pandemics, we should not talk about confidentiality. Our main goal is to, to win against this pandemic, to win against this virus. So we have to look at this global biosystem and biodata collection. It is easy to be done. We have the technology, we have the algorithms, we have the big data, we have the companies who provide such systems. It is a policy will, it is a politician decision. And I call for every politician, they have to think carefully about what, what policies they are taking and how they need to, be brave enough to, take some actions.
We basically always say every single crisis is leading to new opportunities to do things better. So when we are coming back to your former duty as executive director at the Civil Aviation Authority, you have been dealing with a lot of issues around airspace and open skies and all these things.
Yes.
So right now we are seeing the aviation is at 10% of the level today in terms of flight movements and all things. Do you see COVID-19 is giving the opportunity to modernize the airspace?
A tough question, that one. I don't want to give COVID-19 the credit.
Okay.
There's a lot of challenges. COVID-19 is a trigger. There are different challenges facing us. This pandemic is one trigger to show that we are not equipped enough to face, as governments, as countries, equipped to face what is coming ahead in the future. So what we need to do, and what I did actually, it was I left GCAA because I thought that this environment will not allow me anymore to achieve my vision. I am a software engineer. In 2019, I finished the advanced passenger information, which is the intelligence information gathering for the passengers in order to establish e-borders and e-security for the United Arab Emirates. So in 2019, I saw that the future is biodata. It's not only the biometrics. It's the biodata, is the vital, is the health, is technology and health. And that is the future. And the pandemic came and it opened everybody's eyes that this is what we are going to face in the future. So technology, we don't have a problem with technology. We don't have technology of systems, of people who can develop algorithms, We will have algorithms to influence and hack even individuals in the future. You will be hackable. I will be hackable. I'm a system, you are a system. And we will be hackable like a phone or like a machine. And we need to be equipped for it. I think the KGB was trying to, come up with database for the biodata and in order to influence people's behavior. So I think this is the future. And if we are not equipped now, with proper modern governance, we will not be able to face future challenges.
So when we are talking about the issues we are dealing at the moment during the crisis and even before the pandemic starts as well, and all the other challenges we might face in the upcoming months or even in the upcoming years to come, how do you see the aviation industry, specifically in the Middle East, in 5 years' time?
Yeah. Well, I see a healthy aviation system in 5 years, if you're talking to me about 5 years. But in order to achieve that, we need to be really adaptable. Technology is increasing. As I just mentioned, biodata and biosystem is, getting, more modernized, and it is the big thing in the future. So if UAE aviation, and not only UAE aviation, the whole aviation industry doesn't adapt to these norms, it will be norms in the future, they will not be able to survive. Behaviors of people are different from behaviors of people 30 years ago. And the behavior will change very rapidly. Like every 2 years, every 5 years, there are new trends, social media, whatever, and technology. There are new trends coming much more frequent, So they have to be, adaptable to all these new norms in the future. Otherwise, they will not be able to survive. Especially, we are having supersonics coming, we are having air taxis, we are having all these drones coming in. There are so many different means of transportation that it will come. Rail is getting much faster in aviation now. So rail can be a competitor for aviation. Especially people are rebuilding rails again. And people are having more faith in rail because they think it's more stable and it's one track and they will not have accidents. Because there are some people who are scared of aviation so far. Journeys will be like 1 hour from Europe to the States. 2 hours to go around the globe in the future. So we need to look at all these new norms coming in the future, and we need to adapt. If we are using, the normal traditional planes, traditional things, and we are building strategy on what we are having now, and then we are not going to survive in the future. And I think UAE aviation has always focused on innovation, and the local governments always invested in whatever new technology is coming.
It's also my time to put all the things on the agenda. Laila, it was a great pleasure to have you here.
Pleasure is all mine.
I enjoyed the talk with you, very inspiring and very excellent to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.